Got started with a snow cone business actually whenever I was like 13 years old. Kind of went to my grandparents and a family friend. Ended up getting a loan for about $21,000, $22,000. We bought this like car hauling 18-foot trailer and started building a snow cone stand on top of it. At the beginning, I did hire a decent amount of people that were a little bit older than me that I knew, and then it kind of like branched out from there. People that I hired knew another person that was looking for a job. I really wanted to like obviously go to college, but that's the same time the snow cone stand kind of took off and it got super busy to where I was like, I'm making a decent amount of money right now. I can kind of do my own thing in a way. To me, working's always fun. Like, it's always fun trying to make money and, you know, just grind. You can always do that in real estate. So I would say that's kind of my video game.
My name is Abel, and I am a 17-year-old entrepreneur. It's my mission to learn the most essential skills for living a meaningful life. Join me as I talk to successful people to get their take on what those skills are.
Hey Trace, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for jumping on. I guess if we could just start by you giving yourself a quick little intro, just telling the people who you are, and then we'll dive into it a little deeper.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, pretty much. My name's Trace Howard. I got started with a snow cone business actually whenever I was like 13 years old, which, you know, obviously it's pretty young to start a business. So I needed a lot of my parents' help to get started and a lot of like money technically. So kind of went to my grandparents and a family friend. Ended up getting a loan for about $21,000, $22,000, somewhere around there. And my dad's actually an architect, so pretty much, you know, we bought this like car hauling 18-foot trailer and started building a snow cone stand on top of it. And that took about a year to build it because we were just working on weekends. You know, we weren't, you know, hardcore hitting it every single day, but it took a little bit. And you know, we opened about a year later after we bought that trailer. It slowly was busy the first year, and then it just gradually got busier every single year we were open. So that's kind of a quick overview. I'm in my like 13th season this year. Still obviously running, and it's doing, you know, about probably 10 to 20 times better than it was whenever we started it, but it took a lot of trial and error, and yeah, a lot of figuring out, you know, what having a business kind of entails. So that's just kind of a quick overview of the start and kind of how it's going now.
Well, nice. So that's since you're 13. How old are you now?
I'm 25, turn 26 next month.
Man, so you've been doing this for a while.
Yeah, it's been pretty well. I mean, you know, I feel like it kind of started blooming whenever I graduated high school. I was pretty much in high school working every day. I would say only about, you know, 3 to 4 hours a day after school, and then I'd work it on weekends. But it was a decent amount of time. I was putting work into it. And whenever I first got started, you know, again, my parents helped me out big time, but I was hiring people that were older than me, that were high schoolers, and, you know, people that were, you know, 20, 21, and they were working for me. So it was kind of weird. It had some growing pains at the beginning, but
Could I ask you a question about that real quick?
Yeah.
So I feel like, because I'm 17, and probably since I was 11 or so, I have really wanted to start a business. I started listening to How I Built This and just, you know, getting inspired about the big dogs. And like, man, I'd love to start a business. I could run itself one day. Mm-hmm. But the biggest, I guess, that question mark in my mind, and my cousins kind of wanted to do it too, so we all did it together. I would dream about this. And the biggest question mark is like, how do you hire employees? And when you hire them, how do they not just do exactly what you're doing? So could you speak to that a little bit more on how you were hiring people who were actually older than you?
Yeah. Honestly, I think we started off with a pretty small social media presence, but it kind of grew a little bit. And at the beginning, I did hire a decent amount of people that were a little bit older than me that I knew. And then it kind of like, you know, I guess, branched out from there. So as far as like people that I hired knew another person that was looking for a job. So I would say like especially high school, it's like pretty easy to find people that are, wanting a job, especially at a snow cone stand because a snow cone stand is just a fun environment. So, um, it was pretty easy to find people at the beginning, but um, and it has been throughout the years, really.
Were you, I guess, paying them competitively, or were you just the easiest thing because they knew you? Like, why were they attracted to working for you? Maybe besides just like the culture's fun, yes, but were you selling at your school, so it was really simple for them to work there?
It wasn't far from our school actually. It was only about 5 minutes down the road. Really, and also I mean, I was paying minimum wage. It was, 7.50 or something like that. Whenever I first started, I started everyone off at like $8 an hour, but I got some people making a lot more than that now because the longer you work there, the more you get paid, obviously. And obviously, if you do better than others, you get paid more than them. But it was nice because we were somewhat local to our school, so it was pretty easy to go there after school and work. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's just an easy job, and sometimes it got busy, but if it got busy, you're just making more in tips, so that's kind of the nice part about it as well.
Interesting.
Yep.
That was like a mainly after school job for all those people.
For a lot of them, yeah. For a lot of them during the spring and the fall, in the summer, obviously, it's like, every single day. Whenever I first opened, we would only open like after school at like 4 o'clock or something like that. But I eventually, after years of being open, expanded my open hours to opening at 1, even on weekdays when school was going on, because I kind of found out that it was going to be busy during that time. It's not as busy as it should be on like weekends and whatnot, but it was still super beneficial to, be open earlier.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Um, so I guess another thing I'm kind of curious about with all this is when you first started, what was your motivation to start all this? Did you have the motivation or did someone point it out to you? Or what was the origin story of that?
Yeah. I would say, really the reason I wanted to get it started is I was kind of tired of being bored at home during the summer. So it's like, you had those fun activities with friends and whatnot, but you can only do that so much. So I wanted to be like productive and not just have fun and that's it. And I wanted to start something. I mean, my parents told me, and I mean, I even realize it to this day. It's like even in elementary school, I kind of had a business like mentality. So, I mean, I would uh, let's see, I mean, like I would open my I would. It actually has to do with snow cones as well. My mom was a teacher at our school, and so I bought a little Bath and Body Works or Bed Bath and Beyond snow cone machine. I'd take it up there during the summer for their in-service days, and I'd make them all snow cones, and the teachers would pretty much just pay me to make snow cones, one day out of the week or whatever. So, I mean, again, that's nothing in comparison to like a snow cone stand, but obviously I wanted to do something and make some money from it. So, that's kind of, I guess, how it all started.
Okay. So essentially, if I heard that right, you're selling to the teachers originally
Yeah,
and branched off to selling mainly to the students.
yeah, I mean, pretty much, I was doing it just in the summer for the teachers for their in-service, like whenever I was like in fourth or fifth grade. And I thought it was fun and I always loved snow cones. And it kind of, I guess, transitioned into opening up snow cone stand and kind of serving them to everyone. So,
Man, well, that's quite the progression.
yeah,
Now you have real estate that you have that on, right? Or did I hear
correct.
that right?
Yep. Yep. I do real estate full time. I have now for over 5 years. And it's been pretty fruitful. Again, just like with any business, you start off from pretty much nothing and you got to work your way up and only getting busier and busier. But, it's kind of had the same path, the snow cone stand did, I would say at the beginning.
Okay. And you actually have a location for that, right? For the snow cone stand now?
Correct. Yeah, I mean, we've been in the same spot, pretty much all 13 years, so we haven't moved from that one location, which is nice. We've really grown a fan base around the area, and people have, been loyal customers and coming back every single year, year after year. So it's nice to have that loyalty over there.
For sure. For sure. And I guess, would you say a big part of that is kind of being in the same place? Like everyone knows where to find you. You think if you moved around, it would have been a lot harder to gain that customer base?
Yeah, and I mean, I did open up a second location, and I mean, I would say there was benefits, there was pros and cons to it. I would say it's like obviously starting over with a whole new, fan base in a way in a different location. And this was, 25, 30 minutes away from our old location. So I'm sure a lot of those people didn't know about us or know about the main snow cone stand that I had opened, but um it honestly it was profitable, but it to me it just wasn't worth it having a second location. I more wanted to focus on just having one solid location that was making a decent amount of money rather than having two ones that weren't as like it's kind of hard to explain, but two that weren't as um fruitful as one that was super fruitful. So
You don't want to spread yourself too thin.
exactly. Yep.
Interesting. So, and you own the land, right? That your snow cone location's on?
Actually don't. Yeah, I rent it from a gymnastics parking lot. They're called Sokol Gymnastics.
Interesting.
Yep.
Do you have a lot of clients who go to that gymnastics gym or whatever?
Not. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that kind of walk over there after they're done with their practice or whatever. Or a lot of parents that go get snow cones while their kids in gymnastics. So it's nice that we're kind of in the same parking lot, and I feel like likewise to them. There's a lot of people that get snow cones from us, and they're like, "Oh, there's a gymnastics place right there," so they get some business from us as well. So it's kind of nice. We feed off each other.
Yeah, symbiotic relationship.
Exactly. Yep. So
Well, so now you do real estate. Do you think the snow cone business that you started and grew throughout your teen years was your segue into real estate, or was that completely separate?
Um, it's yeah, I mean, I definitely probably wouldn't have my real estate license or do real estate in general if I didn't have the snow cone stand to begin with. I feel like that would have put me on a whole new path, of not getting into real estate if I didn't have the snow cone stand. I think the reason for saying that is like I really at the end of my high school days, my I really wanted to like obviously go to college and do college and get my business degree and do something in business. But that's the same time the snow cone stand kind of took off and it got super busy to where I was like, I'm making a decent amount of money right now. I feel like I can turn this into somewhat passive and not spend a whole lot of time in it, and I can kind of do my own thing in a way. So I decided, real estate's one thing that I was always kind of super interested in. So I started kind of taking my classes, got my real estate license, and kind of the rest is history. I mean, obviously, it slowly got better year after year, but it definitely I wouldn't be in real estate if it wasn't for the initial snow cone stand.
Okay, and because you didn't go to college, right? Is that what you're saying?
I did one semester at community college, TCC, which is obviously pretty in Fort Worth. But yeah, I mean, I did one semester there, and I mean, I did really well in that one semester. It's just I started weighing kind of the options as far as after, after that one semester, I was like, man, I really want to just start working. So yeah, decided to get my real estate license.
Man, that's interesting. So basically, like the snow cone business enabled you to feel self-sufficient enough not to go through college, and that was the time period in which you got your real estate license, right?
Correct. Yep. Yep. Again, was just like, man, I can really kind of focus half my time on the snow cone stand, half my time on another income producing activity. That's all what it's about, obviously. So, um, you know, I don't know what, you know, I had a couple different things up in the air as far as what I wanted to do. All of which kind of included doing sales, but I, uh, I just felt more attached to real estate.
Yeah. Oh, real estate's a
So,
great business, at least from what I can see of it. I definitely wanted to get into real estate too, but
yeah.
the license part of it was kind of hard because you can't get that actually until you're 18, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yep. You can't be yeah, you have to be 18 to get your real estate license, but snow gun stand you can open up at any age, so kind
True.
of worked
You
out
did it
timeline wise.
13.
Yeah.
Man, that's impressive. Well, and
It-
another thing I was thinking about is it sounds like you put a lot of money into the snow cone stand from the start. And
mhm.
that did that not make you nervous or was that just normal to you?
Um, yeah, I mean, it did make me a little nervous at the beginning. I mean, I knew that I would always be able to sell it if I needed to or whatnot, because um, it looked really nice. I wish I had a picture of it that I could pop up there, but um, it was a little nerve-wracking at the beginning, borrowing money and, trying to start the initial investment of it, but I knew my family members that were loaning me the money to do it. I had a lot of faith in me. And also like my parents kind of had my back too, because their name was on the business to begin with. And then whenever I turned 18, that's whenever full ownership transferred over to me. Uh, but yeah, I mean, it, it paid itself off in roughly around 2 or 3 years. The 2 or 3 year mark is kind of whenever I actually paid them all back and started making profits. So it wasn't too long of a turnaround to make that initial investment back.
Yeah. No, that's like actually pretty quick, I would say, from what I've heard. And you just have to have that confidence though, right? Because did you have that full confidence at the beginning that you knew you were gonna make those sales and pay everybody back? Or was it kind of just like, well, if this fails, I'll just work for a couple of years, pay everybody back and call it a lesson?
Yeah, I mean, I obviously didn't really have like an idea as far as how busy it was going to be or anything like that. It was, and I didn't really have a plan in place for, a target goal of the amount of sales that I needed to do or anything like that. A lot of the first 2 years was figuring it out as you go. And I mean, the first year we opened like halfway through the year. It was like July whenever we opened. So we only had like 2 or 3 months of like being open, but it was a good trial to like know how everything worked. Um, and then again, like the next year, it was like we pretty much doubled sales compared to the first year. And then the next year after that, we doubled sales again. It pretty much snowballed and snowballed, which was kind of crazy. But I think it's just because we kept on adding more things to it. It's again a lot of trial and error. Uh, it's all about the product, the customer service, and how fast you are in a way. Like you can't be slow in a drive-through situation. So it's all about kind of pumping them out, as quick as possible, as good as possible. So that's kind of the mentality that I had to give my lot of employees. Like, hey, you make more tips if you do better, if you serve them quick, and if you produce a good product. So I think that those are the three like sticking points that I kind of gave them. That it really I didn't have to be there to micromanage everything all the time. They kind of understood the assignment there.
Okay, so you hired a lot of people that you trusted and basically just, I mean, at what point from you were 13, so like at what age would you say your business was fully autonomous?
And I wouldn't say it's like even still autonomous. I'm engaged now, and my fiance does a decent amount. So she's actually up there working for me right now. uh, yeah, she works Monday through Friday for me up there. Not, you know, not 10 hours a day or anything like that, but she definitely is the one that opens the shift and starts the day off right and makes sure everything's ready to go for the closing shift. But um, she's helped me out a quite a bit over the past couple years because she's been working there for a couple years. Um, I do a lot of the scheduling, a lot of the ordering, and really she does a lot of the hiring, and because she's the one that's actually going to be working with them. So it's kind of nice. We both tag team it a little bit, but it's definitely less hands off as it was to start, and we kind of got a rhythm to it now, so it's nice.
So do you think in a pinch, if you and her both wanted to kind of switch directions with your focus, that you could just hire a manager and just kind of trust that it would still perform well?
I do and I don't. Like, it would definitely have to be somebody that has like worked for me before, to be honest with you, probably. And I have had employees that have worked for me for, you know, 3, 4, 5 years at one time, and they've graduated college after that, and went into the actual field that they wanted to do in life. So it would, I feel like it would have to be somebody that I really trusted, because I have a lot of I don't know, pretty much my heartstrings are tied to the snow cone stand, so it's like hard to just hand it over to anybody. Same thing with selling it. Like it would really have to be somebody that I know that I would want it to be taken over by, just because it's been so long since I've owned it. So yeah, I mean, I could see myself possibly hiring a manager if me and my fiance eventually wanted to kind of do away with being less hands off, but we're probably a while from that.
Okay. It sounds like this is very much a passion project for you.
Yeah, yeah.
Was it originally, or did it become that throughout the years?
Um, yeah, I mean, it grew and grew, obviously, and I would say, yeah, it's been a big passion project for me. Something that I kind of count part as my identity in a way. Having the snow cone stand. I feel like that's kind of how I was known, of having a snow cone stand for some reason. So just everyone kind of knew me from that. But yeah, I mean, it's been super great owning it. I wouldn't trade it for the world. So that's another reason why I just wouldn't see myself selling it, or pretty much anytime soon, just because it's doing well, and I don't want it to like go to waste.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. You put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into that too, probably, and had the highs and the lows of it. So you get the dopamine hits every time something goes well, and you ride it out through the lows.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But with all that life experience, it just makes me wonder, like, so this podcast is essentially about finding out what are some of the most essential skills across all fields, and like whatever field you're going into, basically, what are the essential skills that will help you succeed and provide value in whatever circumstance you happen to be in? Because it sounds like that's what you did. I mean, you initially had an audience and you started selling to them, and you sold to them what they needed, and then you kept expanding from there, and you really understood what they wanted and what you could provide them. And you also used your network to build the initial trailer or location. So I guess from your perspective, what are maybe like some of your top essential skills for life based on all your experience in providing value personally and in the marketplace? Just, yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. I would say like pretty much the skills that, I mean, you need to have in a lot of aspects of business is persistency. I think that's like probably the biggest thing. Um, I mean, persistency and like dedication kind of go one on one with each other. As far as just real estate, it's a lot of follow up. It's you always got to be on top of communication. Same thing goes with kind of serving snow cones. You gotta not just in the aspect of, really being, serving a good product, of being persistent on that level, but you got to be really kind of on top of your employees, I would say, and making sure they're doing the right thing. So I think persistency applies in that manner. Um, dedication of going day after day after day with the constant, you know, um, day-to-day activities. In a way, it's like you're always doing something. In real estate, you're always either showing houses, making phone calls, texting people, checking in with past clientele. Snow cone wise, it's like you're always, you know whenever I worked there in high school, I was pretty much working every day, and it was hard to get a day off because I didn't really want a day off. So it's like I wanted to make sure a good product was being served day after day. So I would say just showing up and getting the work done as best you can. It was kind of how it went. So I would say those are the two words that kind of apply to both real estate and just like the service industry of, serving snow cones. Those are the two things that come to mind.
Gotcha. So persistency, and what was the other word you said again?
Dedication.
Dedication. So kind of one and the same thread, honestly. It's just like
Yeah.
showing up every day and always trying to make it one little bit better. Is there like, so you're talking about working with clients, right? Is there maybe a example you have of being persistent with someone and you didn't think it was going to come through, but you just were persistent anyway, and something really crazy that you weren't expecting came out of that?
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of stories in that. In real estate, I feel like it's people that you never expect to answer the phone again. For one reason, you don't know really. It's like people aren't always ready on your timing. Obviously, it's like, it's their decision if they're gonna either buy or sell. For me, I deal with like a lot of people that are wanting to sell a house, and they pique their initial interest, and we have a good conversation to begin with, but I might not hear from them in a while, and I maybe we'll try them every now and then, and they won't answer, they're busy, or something happens in life and they're just not ready to go. But then, years down the road, you randomly give them a call again, and they're like, "You called me at the right time." Like, I actually am looking to sell here in the next couple months. So I would say those are the stories that you see most in my field. I mean, and it's happened to me quite a bit, where you would never expect them to possibly answer the phone again, if you just. But the reason that you tried is you're just like, hey, it's been a while since I reached out to them, and you try them and they're ready to go. So it's kind of crazy how things work out, and timing works out on everything.
For sure. And did you have a example of that with the snow cone too? Or is that mainly in real estate, do you think?
Um, I would say applies more to real estate than like kind of a snow cone stand. But yeah, I mean, you just always got to be, persistent with your product, I would say, in a way of just making the right snow cones. Like, you don't realize how complicated, I guess, the snow cone is until you like get into the business and start actually making them, and having to make good products, because you're always having to like change blades, do sugar water, make the flavors. So you got to keep things stocked is kind of the main thing. But really just I would say those are kind of the ways it can apply, is just being persistent with the product.
Gotcha. And did you have a feedback loop to your audience to where they were able to give you feedback on what you should do better?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I got Google, Yelp, Facebook. So we have a decent amount of like, people that have given us reviews over the years. And it helped to give some feedback on, what we were doing right and what we were doing wrong. I also have like obviously like a loyalty club, so they were, obviously if they were kept on coming back, we knew we were doing something right. If they weren't coming back, you know, obviously we were probably not doing something right. So we were able to also track our numbers with the snow cone stand through our point of sale, returning customers to non-returning customers. So we had like 70% returning customer rate, which was pretty good. Um, so yeah, that I mean that definitely helped us out. But we got a decent amount of reviews on Google. So I would say that's definitely a good sign. I mean, it also gets people to come to us. So
Well, that makes sense. It sounds like you had a pretty heavy online presence for this whole snow cone thing, even from the
mhm.
beginning. Was that your idea, or did someone tell you like you should probably do this?
Yeah. I wasn't the best at social media or anything like that to begin with. I kind of put stuff together on, Word and like threw it up on Facebook and it just didn't look good. And then I got into hiring this girl that I knew to actually run our Facebook and Instagram, and she kind of made it blow up in a way, which was great. She definitely did a much better job than I did, but that cost was definitely worth it. I think I was paying her like $10 per post or something like that, and she was throwing stuff up on a daily basis because she was making more money. But it definitely, I definitely realized like, okay, yeah, like that's the reason why you need social media is because at the same time we were getting busier at the snow cone stand. So it definitely helped, and I think that goes likewise in real estate. Like just kind of you don't want to like you know post too much, but too much about it to make it seem like you're not a family guy or you're not relatable to, but you want to obviously make people known that you're in real estate, and I feel like that I kind of don't try to post too much, but I'll post a decent amount about it. So people obviously gets the word out there. If people share it, comment, like it, whatever. So that's how those two things I would say go hand in hand.
Gotcha. And you do that yourself these days, sounds like. So you don't hire someone to do it anymore?
So I have my fiance do my social media now, for the snow cone stand. I don't really have a whole lot going on real estate wise. It's a lot of like our brokerage posting things and me sharing them. So that's kind of how I do things. But they have their own social media person that has the posts going, and I pretty much just share those a lot of the time.
Gotcha.
Yep, yep.
All right. So social media is a big deal for
It
marketing.
is.
That's what I'm
It
hearing.
is. Yep, absolutely. Yeah.
So,
Um, yeah.
yeah. So on a little bit different of a vein, I was curious more on your own personality. Would you say that you are a naturally highly motivated person, or did you have to school yourself in that, grow yourself?
Yeah. I would say I would say I definitely had to school myself probably at the beginning. It was a lot of getting used to working a decent amount in middle school and high school after school. And that's just because I needed to. And, I would say like I definitely had enough employees to probably not work as much, but I just wanted to be there. Um, so I would say it's a little bit of both. To answer your question, like I definitely had to get used to it, but I also wanted to be there. So, um, yeah, I would say that's kind of what it's about.
So it sounds like if you are doing something that you really enjoy, maybe you don't need as much motivation as some people would say you need. It's like for your snow cone business, it sounds like probably what you weren't needing is to wake up every morning and watch David Goggins' inspirational video to get up,
Yeah.
go to work however much you worked, go home, do research, and do it over and over every day. Sounds like you
hmm
just loved it so much you didn't even need that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I loved it. I didn't really read any like books or anything like about motivation or inspiration in high school. So it was a lot of just, okay, this is what I need to do to be successful today, and I went and did it. So I would say kind of that's how I got started in it for sure.
Did you have long-term goals with this too, or was it just kind of to have fun?
I would say it was like year after year goals, and I even do that in real estate now. It's like okay, how much money do I want to make with the snow cone stand this year? And I'd, try to set a, expectation for myself. Um, and then, yeah, again, that kind of transitioned over into real estate. How many sales and how much revenue am I going to bring in? Um, so yeah, I mean, goals definitely are one thing that you really have to set for yourself. And I mean, if you don't hit them, like that, you got to realize you tried your best to do them. If you actually did try your best to do them, so um, I would say that's definitely a big thing in business, and it applies to both real estate and running a business, running a serving business. So yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, that's very interesting, honestly, because yeah, like some people they'll say you need to really like force yourself to do stuff like that, and some
Hmm.
people I feel like it's more natural, and I almost feel like when it's more natural, that's probably when it's gonna create the better product too, because then you're not just doing it for whatever, but and your long term goals sounds like making money was a big part of that, which I think is normal, right? Because were you thinking like eventually providing for your family, or were you thinking like back when you were younger, especially, were you thinking I want to buy this certain thing or be able to have a car when I turned 16? Or, like, did you have
Yeah.
things you wanted to do with the money, or was it again just to kind of discipline yourself to make it?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I didn't really have like a crazy amount of desires for things in like high school and middle school. So I wasn't like particularly working towards, buying, a nice car or anything like that. I was mainly just trying to make money. And that's kind of the one thing I was kind of focused on. It was just building the bank account. And then obviously slowly like kind of transferred over into getting another snow cone stand, which I actually sold for more than I bought for. So, I mean, that worked out. But yeah, I mean, obviously I had my expenses, and you just have those day to day, expenses of life. So, I was going out to eat with friends and whatnot and doing fun things. So that, I mean, it was supporting a lot of that stuff, a lot of the fun things that I was doing, but I wasn't having to pay rent or anything like that whenever I was in high school. So that was nice. I was saving a lot of money. Um, so yeah, I mean, I would say that's kind of the answer to that question. I was kind of more doing it just to have fun and just learn from it and see how well I could actually really do.
Yeah. And I guess you must have saved up quite a lot by the time you actually needed to do something with that.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely I saved up quite a bit of money. Every year was obviously it kept on getting better and better, but uh, money comes and money goes. It's not all about money, obviously, but um, I had fun with what I had, so it was good.
Man, well, that's crazy. I guess another question along the motivational lines is, uh, are you generally not drawn, but are you generally more inclined toward a fearful perspective when it comes to risks or new experiences? Or does that fuel you?
Um, yeah, I mean, I would say I embrace them for sure. I definitely like getting into new different things. Um, for real estate, it's kind of like, okay, I've never flipped a house before, but do I want to, jump into this and flip this house? And I mean, I guess that was an example of what happened like a couple years ago. I'd never bought a house. I'd owned, my house that I lived in, but I didn't really, I hadn't done anything on the aspect of buying an investment property and fixing it up and, selling it. So, I just randomly hopped into it and I did it, and I did pretty well on that one. And then it kind of snowballed into getting another one. And then I've never really done more than like one at a time. I don't, it's all about, the cash flow of things and making sure you're comfortable at the same time. So, um, I I didn't really, you know, expect myself to be doing this whenever I was just getting into real estate, but and especially so soon. But it slowly transitioned into, I love building things. I love, you know putting nice stuff in old houses and making a profit on them. So it's a fun business.
So would you say that whenever, like you said, you didn't expect it, right? So
Mhm.
whenever an opportunity actually comes knocking at your door, so to speak, you think
Mhm.
that kind of just takes the fear away? Because something can seem really intimidating until you actually, like, oh yeah, I could do this. It's right here.
Yeah.
You take that opportunity very easily.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's all about understanding the numbers, and realizing like, okay, I can buy this house for X, I can put this much amount into it, and then I can resell it for this. So that's that kind of is what takes the fear away, is like understanding, okay, you know, it kind of goes hand in hand with starting up the snow cone stand and borrowing money. I obviously am borrowing money to buy this house, but I'm putting my own money into it to renovate it, and then I'm reselling it, and that's whenever I make all the profit and my own money that I put into it back. So, um, yeah, I mean it's definitely like that for sure.
Man. Well, sounds like you do actually have quite a high risk tolerance. Just like real estate, because yes, you can know the numbers, but there is a level of risk in just starting out because you may think you know something and then you might be a couple $100,000 into it and realize you don't. Would
Hmm.
you agree? So like
Yeah,
I know people who have lost millions on real estate because they got trapped into it. And so there's that level of risk even if you have done the math. And I think it sounds like you kind of thrive off of that, thrive off of the thrill, a little bit of it. And I don't know,
yeah,
have a really high tolerance for that.
yeah, yeah. It's fun. I mean, I think it all goes back to like just really understanding the numbers, and you know, I would say it's not super high risk situations. I really got to be comfortable with the house. I'm not as risky as some other investors that, buy properties from us or we sell properties to. Um, but I really, I'm one that really likes to do the due diligence before and make sure everything's going to be, profitable before I, spend time and money into it. So.
Yeah, for sure. And was that something you did with the snow cone business too, originally? Just like sit down and do a bunch of math, figure out, project, all that stuff?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say like not a crazy amount of numbers. I would say like I'm more focused on like product. So, I mean, like before, we opened for the first time ever, I was definitely making a lot of snow cones, just trying to find the best, balance of. We actually bought like the wrong kind of ice, which I didn't even know there was the wrong kind of ice, but there is. Um, yeah, so we bought like this compacted block. Like they pretty much shove a bunch of ice cubes into each other and it formed this big block. And so we were supposed to use big blocked ice, but we didn't realize we weren't supposed to use the kind of ice that was all compacted and, cubes compacted together. Uh, so we started making snow cones with that and realized, okay, that's not the right block to use. Um, so again, it kind of goes back to trial and error, but um, I would say I focus more, not really completely on the numbers because I probably wasn't as smart as I am now, numbers wise, back in middle school. But I would say I focus more on, okay, how are we gonna like, run our point of sale? How are we going to make these snow cones? I mean, I would go around to actually other snow cone stands and just ask them questions. And obviously I told them my story. I was like, I'm getting into the business. I'm owning a snow cone stand. Probably didn't take me very seriously whenever I was 13, but, uh, I just wanted to ask a lot of questions and everyone was super helpful and answered them, but, definitely kind of did the due diligence and, learning from other people that were running snow cone stands, before I, built my own and did that.
For sure. And was there a lot of snow cone stands around? Like, was it highly competitive for you?
There was a few actually. Yeah, there was a decent amount. I would say in like a you know 3 to 5 mile radius, which we opened and uh, I feel like a lot of snow gun stands come and go. It's kind of the way of just running a business. It's like you don't really normally own the spot that you're in, so it's like your landlord can kick you out at any time, or it's not like a year long activity either. So it's like a lot of people will run it for a year or 2 or 3 years and be like, yeah, that was fun while I did it. I made a little bit of money, but it wasn't worth to keep me afloat. I think that's also something that, it kind of helped me because I didn't really have any of those extra bills to pay whenever I was in high school. Like, didn't wasn't having to pay a mortgage or rent or anything like that. A lot of people that open those businesses, they gotta have those life expenses, and that's not something that I had to really worry about. So I think that played a big role in me just being persistent and sticking to it and making it profitable.
Man, well, yeah, that is a big thing for like young people, especially, is that they typically don't have to pay for a lot of ongoing expenses. So it does kind of make it an ideal time to start a business. And it sounds like one of the things that really set you apart was that you just were there forever. Well, from 13 to, I mean, you're still running it at almost 26. So you just been here forever. And it's because you didn't need it to be ultra profitable from the get-go, whereas other people might have.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a cool edge on the market you had, I guess, was that you were even just young at the time. So that gave you an immediate edge because you didn't need to be making you tons and tons of money right off the bat.
Yeah, definitely. Yep. I wasn't too worried about how much money I was making, because I didn't really like need a whole lot of money. It was more relaxed, but I obviously wanted to make a good product, and I wanted to make a decent amount of money. It's just I didn't need to. So I think it kind of took the stress off things in a way.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like any already established adult who started a snow cone business would need to be through the roof successful to keep it going for
Yeah.
years as you kept it going.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like you'd probably have to, whenever you start, I mean, you're starting with no clientele. You're pretty much starting from nothing. So, just getting that initial clientele in there and then get them to keep coming back is just another thing. So,
For sure. So to switch gears a little bit again, when it comes to just like living a productive life, do you feel like there's a particular activity that is really just a waste of time and keeps people from living their best, most valuable lives? Because you, as a kid, were running a business when you were bored. But I know a lot of people who do other things when they're bored that are not nearly as good of a learning experience or even providing value to other people. They're just all consumption. So I was curious, do you have some things that you specifically cut out of your life just to live a better life? More value, you know?
yeah, I mean, I guess like one thing for me, and I mean, I feel like it's different for everybody else, was like I was pretty big into video games whenever I was like in high school. And I feel like whenever I graduated high school, I kind of cut those out. But I mean, I slowly cut them out. So it's like, I mean, I know people that are successful that play video games still, like, but that was just for me. Like, I wanted to, you know, not play video games. And I feel like that wasn't, that definitely didn't contribute to like just being successful as cutting out video games. I would say it just got me more focused on like working. I wasn't always thinking about, playing video games whenever I was working. So that's kind of like, I would say that's something for me that it really just, whenever I cut those out, I really started grinding a little bit more in life and business. So
Okay. Well, did you find it hard to cut video games out? or did you just get your dopamine somewhere else? Like it was just a natural switch to now work is my fun, you know?
Yeah. Um, I would say, yeah, like definitely in real estate, it's like you can pretty much work anytime you want, as much as you want. So, and that, I mean, that's something that you don't want to work yourself out. And I mean, to me, working's always fun. Like, it's always fun trying to make money and, just grind. And you can always do that in real estate. So I would say that's kind of my video game, in a way. But you also got to just have fun and relax at the same time. So you can't always work or you're gonna run yourself to the ground. So, but at the same time, yeah, you have to enjoy working to actually be like, you know, just keep going. So it's kind of a mixture of both.
That's a kind of a fun framework right there. To have like your life or your work of making money be kind of like the video game because it
Yeah,
is really. I mean, you're just trying different things, taking risks, and the reward is, the number in your bank account or whatever. But it is essentially taking risks and winning and losing sometimes. It's the same thing if you can kind of just switch your mentality on that.
yeah,
It's a lot more productive.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, it really does kind of go hand in hand as far as work and video games. It's kind of crazy.
I was actually thinking, when I asked that question, I was kind of thinking more toward video games and television, like just screens in general.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
feel like they can give you this psyop of adventure to where you feel like subconsciously when you play a video game or you watch a movie and you win or the villain is defeated or whatever, you almost feel like that victory was yours, even though it's not. And so
hmm
it's kind of tricking you into being a less productive member of society just because you feel like you've already had the dopamine hit from winning, even though you haven't really gone on the adventure, taken your own risks. So
yeah,
I think when you finally step off that conveyor belt and take the real risks, it is in the end a lot more satisfying than a
yeah,
screen could be.
yeah, definitely. I 100% agree. It's interesting.
Yeah, I just kind of an interesting thought process.
Yeah.
Yeah, on that note, it's actually a little off topic, but what do you think about sports in general? Do you think that kind of the sports realm of our culture is also kind of psyoping just like all of our natural energy, but that could be going into, making money, providing for families, stuff like that?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a big like team thing with sports. I mean, I played them in high school, and so I mean, you're working with a lot of those people that y'all are working towards the same goal of winning the game. So I think the same thing goes in business. It's like everyone's working with each other to accomplish a task, and obviously, just working together on doing the same thing. If that comes to real estate and my real estate team that I work with, or our snow cone stand employees, they're all working together. So it definitely goes in similar ways, similar aspects of to sports. So yeah, 100%.
So you think that team sports especially actually really help the mentality of business?
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, you're always having to work together, with other people on just doing the right thing, and being successful in whatever you're doing. So 100% it goes hand in hand.
And just outsourcing, I feel like that's a big thing too, is where initially you do everything yourself, but then to grow, you really have to outsource to other people who can do it better and also free up your own time. And that's
hmm
kind of the same principle with like the guy in basketball, whatever, he's just driving it forward and dunking it every time is going to be way less successful as a team than if they're passing like crazy. And those are the
Yeah.
coolest plays anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, you're very right. Um, yeah, I mean they really do go, hand in hand with each other. Um, so I 100% agree.
Man, you think that uh is there an example in your life maybe of when you have played business like a solo sport and suffered for it, just not knowing how to outsource to people?
Yeah. Um, yeah, I would say like my first couple years in real estate, I definitely was probably spreading myself too thin with the amount of workload. Um, I have some VAs, some virtual assistants that work for me now that I started assigning, tasks to for them to, kind of cover for me, and that freed up time for appointments, because I'm more in the face-to-face person rather than meeting a lot of people online, and having those phone calls, those emails, those texts, so they started taking more of that assignment over, and I started more meeting the nurtured clientele that actually was ready to do something right then and there, in person. So I would say that that's similar to kind of what you were asking about. It definitely freed up more of my time for me to actually do the things that I wanted to do, and that was actually making me money. But they obviously,
Sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, and they obviously like originated a lot of that business for me. So that team obviously grew. So yeah, absolutely, it definitely is worthwhile to expand your team.
Yeah, and I was even just gonna say that it might also just help with your motivation, because if you know that you're showing up to work, business, whatever you're doing, and you know that the part you have to do is the part you love, then you do need less motivation to show up. Versus if you have to do everything, necessarily there's going to be parts of that that you really hate doing. But
Hmm.
if you outsource all those things to other people, it just helps with your motivation to show up too.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. And also, yeah, I mean, it's all about not spreading yourself too thin with what you want to do, and actually enjoying what you are doing in life and everything. So, um, definitely helps out on that manner, because I didn't necessarily enjoy, calling a bunch of people in a day, or, talking to a crazy amount. I just kind of wanted to be out there, showing houses and meeting with sellers and whatnot. So definitely helped 100%.
And speaking of the calls, do you have a high tolerance for I was gonna say violence. That's not what I meant. A high tolerance for conflict, because I hear a lot of those real estate guys get some pretty harsh things yelled at them over the phone.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't. It doesn't really bother me, to be honest with you. Yeah, I mean, it probably did at the beginning. I just don't really like kind of put up with it. I don't. It doesn't make me feel down about myself or anything like that. Whenever you run into somebody that's angry about you calling them or whatnot. But I mean, you gotta just wish them the best of luck, and move on. So, um, it's kind of you know you obviously don't want to call them back or anything like that after that, but it yeah, that's that's all I can kind of say about that.
Would you say it probably would not be a good thing to get into real estate if you can't handle conflict very well? Or at least you need to build that tolerance up?
Yeah, I think it's about building that tolerance up. I think I was a little at the beginning a little scared to kind of do some of the outreach stuff, and I think that's a lot of what real estate is a lot of outreach, and getting your name out there, because there's a lot of people in this world, and a lot of people have real estate agents and a lot of people don't. It's like you got to find those that are willing to, work with you if they don't have an agent, or if they do have an agent and they haven't signed with anyone yet. You can reach out to them and try to sell them yourself. Real estate's a lot of selling yourself and not really selling a product like snow cones. So it's a lot of really knowing what you're talking about, not being afraid to reach out, and just kind of being persistent and follow up. So just kind of shows that you actually care and you're ready to help whenever they're ready to start the process of whatever they're trying to do.
Yeah, that makes sense. Persevering, through the different no's and setbacks and stuff like that really pays off in the end, sounds like, especially real estate. But even in your snow cone business, like you initially started off maybe not selling horribly low amounts, but the next summer you doubled your profit, and the summer after that you doubled your profit, and you were able to pay all the money that you borrowed. You were able to pay all that off within just a few years, and then keep it going for another 8 to 10 years after that.
Yeah.
And that's all profit from there on, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I mean, you got the annual running expenses of employees and, materials and doing repairs and whatnot. And at the beginning of every year, we do a decent amount of improvements to obviously improve the workflow of everything and the looks. So, we do a decent amount of that, set a decent amount of money off to the side for just startup expenses for the next year. But we've really got to be open about 8 to 9 months out of the year. Our season used to be like 5 months out of the year, but we've just opened earlier and closed later every year, so we're pretty much opening like right at the beginning of March, and we're pretty much open all the way to the mid to beginning of October. So it's we got quite a season now. So
Yeah. That's a long time, especially
Yeah.
for a snow cone stand. I mean, I'm not like super read up on the snow cone industry, but I would think most of them are just during summer mainly.
yeah, yeah, I would say a lot of them are. I mean, and that we don't make a crazy amount of money whenever we stay open, but I feel like it's just about being there for your customers. I mean, I wouldn't be open if I didn't make money, but at the same time, sometimes you got to wonder, like, is it worth it? But then you got to think, like, I'm the only snow cone stand that's probably open at this point. So I'm getting that market share of customers that are wanting to get snow cones at this time of the year. And they'll keep coming back whenever other snow cone stands are open, and I'm open as well. So they kind of grow to like you in a way.
True. So in
Yep.
a way that you almost set yourself up as kind of the monopoly for snow cones in your area, because you don't even have competition really, just because
Yeah.
you're open for so long. That's how you kind of set yourself apart.
Yeah, definitely. Yep, it's all about in my mind, I'm the first one to open at the beginning of the year and the last one to close. So I'm just trying to capture that audience that's out there that's wanting snow cones when other places aren't open. So
For sure. That was very interesting.
yeah,
And I feel like even just with the whole monopolizing thing, even like barrier to entry, because I feel like a big thing for small businesses, especially really small businesses that younger people might start, is how do you hire employees who don't just do the exact same thing you do? Like, let's say I hire people to mow lawns for me, and I take a cut of what they make, and I own the business or whatever. But how do I keep them from going and just doing it themselves? I would need to spend the initial money to buy the equipment. That way, none of them have the equipment and I do. So that's why they all work for me, because it's so much simpler.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like for you, it was investing all that money in the beginning and building yourself a really nice trailer.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was also just being open for so long that nobody else would want to do that really, but you had the tolerance for it and the perseverance for that too.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, it's quite a bit of the startup costs, so it's hard to kind of copy, I would say. And I think location's a big aspect of being successful in a snow cone industry, or really any sort of, I wouldn't compare myself to fast food, but that's kind of how it is. It's like we have a drive-through, we have a walk-up, and people, 90% of our business is drive-through, 10% of our business is walk-up, and I would say it's kind of a hard thing to copy. You got to find the right location for it. So
For sure.
yeah,
It's probably not a whole, again, I'm not sure about this, but is there not a whole lot of snow cones that actually rent a space to stay, or do they just kind of loiter around and move a lot?
Uh, yeah. I would say like a lot of them like try to stay in the same spot all year. Like, you have those Kona ice trucks out there that are obviously mainly just for catering and whatnot. You have Bahama Bucks out there that just has, locations everywhere and they stay in the same spot, but those are mainly like storefronts. They have some storefronts that have drive-throughs, but um, I would say definitely I'm more of a, Bahama Bucks, something more gourmet than Kona Ice that can just go anywhere, anytime and do any sort of party. So
But then you're also set apart because you have the drive-through option too.
exactly. Yep. Yep. Drive-through is just a massive role in why we're so busy. It's like people don't want to get out of the car with their kids in 100-degree weather, to walk up to a snow cone stand and sit outside for another 5-10 minutes waiting on their snow cone to be made. A lot of them like to just chill in the car, listen to music, hang out, don't have to get the kids out of the car. So it's that's definitely, one thing that I'm so blessed with the location that I have because they have a huge parking lot to where we can take up pretty much the whole parking lot if we need to, with the amount of cars. So
Yeah, that's a great way to set yourself apart, honestly.
yeah,
Basically, you're gourmet and you're convenient. I mean, the best of two worlds.
yeah. On top of that, just trying to be quick is just another thing, when you got people lined up, 10, 15 cars deep, you just got to try to get them out as quick as you can, but as best you can. So,
Oh yeah. Less calories that they need to burn in their mind to figure out how to actually get snow cones to their family's hands,
yeah,
the more they're going to go to you.
exactly. Yeah, you don't want them second guessing or anything. You don't want them turning around. So, just trying to get them out quick as possible.
Yeah. Well, I want to be respectful of your time. You've already given me a whole hour, so I thank you for that. I was curious before we go if there's any action point that you would want to, like, let's say you have an audience full of people kind of like me who are young and have wanted to start a business for a long time, don't really know where to start, not sure how to scale, just kind of a lot of unknowns. Or maybe even don't want to start a business, but just want to make money or pursue their careers, um, off, I guess, kind of jumping off the regular conveyor belt of education through college, through fixed career. So basically doing it kind of a different way.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, they don't know quite where to start or how to scale. Is there something, an action point that you would just say everyone could try this tomorrow to just get you one step closer to that mentality or where they want to be?
Yeah, I would say it's a big thing to like obviously like do the thing that you love. So you got to figure out exactly what you would love to do, which is obviously hard if you've never tried something. So, I mean, again, like for me, it was like going around and asking snow cone stands how they were, operating and how they work. So, I don't know. I think it's asking a lot of questions about a particular thing you want to possibly try to get into that you could see yourself doing. If that's like other business owners or, people that just, work in the industry that you're thinking about possibly starting a business in or getting into, just asking a lot of questions is kind of a big thing. And, writing down the answers to those questions. And I used to watch a lot of YouTube videos about how to do, snow cones and real estate before like I got into them, and even right after I got into them. I think YouTube's a big tool to like always be learning, um, not just like how to do things, but just mindset of people that are super successful. So, yeah, I would say that that's kind of the thing I'd like to just drop in there for sure.
Cool. So sit down, have a session with yourself, just brainstorming what are the things I love to do? What are the things I wouldn't need a ton of motivation to show up for every day? And go from there. And YouTube, of course, that's a great resource.
Yeah.
Was there a certain person on YouTube that you watched a lot to get inspiration or motivation for your career or
Yeah.
life in general?
Honestly, I'm just trying to think of like some of the names here. It's been a while since I've watched YouTube, to be honest with you. Uh, I used to all the time, and I hated paying for the ad or like watching the ads. So I got YouTube Premium, but um, yeah, what's his name? I can't honestly even think, but I feel like it's like that with Instagram now. Some of the people, the real estate agents that are on social media, like I would say it's not all like selling sunsets or anything like that. The reality TV shows. It's a lot of you really got to crunch the numbers on like flipping houses, and HGTV is not all it whenever it comes down to it. So it's like I think it's just some of those people that are actually doing it and videoing the process and independent. I think those are more of the real people that are doing it on social medias. So
For sure.
yeah,
Well, that's great. Cool. Well, hey, thanks for jumping on the podcast and chatting. This was a great conversation.
yeah,
I've been
absolutely.
very curious to meet you for a long time because Hattie was like, oh, I know you like selling stuff and trying to start businesses and things like that. And I know this guy
Yeah,
started a snow cone stand, scaled it, hired employees from his same school, has a location now, like
yeah,
does real estate. It's a great origin story.
yeah. Well, yeah, I appreciate you having me on, and yeah, I've known Hattie for a long time, so it's kind of funny that she had called me kind of out of the blue and told me about you, and I'm glad I was able to connect with you. I appreciate you having me on.
Oh yeah, for sure. So fun.
Yes, sir.
And yeah, hopefully we can connect in the future too and maybe collab on something, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. Just hit me up anytime. I appreciate yep, I appreciate the opportunity.